3, 2, 1.
Boom! And welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by Dirty Duck Coffee. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world famous Andy Shaver.
So I'm a pot of coffee kind of guy a day. Pot of coffee a day is what I have, minus 1 cup because my wife has a cup. At the hunting shows, I don't get that. So I was constantly running back and forth to Dirty Duck to get my day going at Delta.
And that's who this podcast is brought by, is Dirty Duck.
Oh,
If coffee sucks, it's not the duck. Did you try the new...
I did straight cold brew. I just fill it up and let me rock and roll with it. That way I'm not in a hurry.
So you was just Democrating the hell out of Buck and Denise and Jay.
Oh, I'd walk up and I'd say, you got to help me. And they knew what I needed.
So I guess you'll be doing the same thing in Memphis this weekend.
Absolutely.
When I was in Delta, I had the honor of meeting this young lady that's our guest today. Now, in all honesty, and I'm a pretty open book, everybody knows that, I've been trying to get this lady on for 2 years.
Ah.
I couldn't even get her to return my Instagram messages. She thought I was a weirdo, I guess, some kind of stalker.
She's not wrong.
She's the most talented taxidermist in the country. She's the cake taxidermist. Sugarbelle Sweets, Miss Dusty Sinclair from Corpus Christi. Dusty, how are you doing, ma'am?
I am good. How are you?
We are wonderful, or I am wonderful. How about you?
I'm having a much better day today. Yesterday was a little bit stressful here. I had every problem you can imagine, but today's better. So, and now I'm talking to you, so we're all good. We're all good. So I saw whenever we walked into Delta, we turned left and like your booth was right there, and you had the most beautiful, intimate display. You had the lab up there. What? I can't even imagine how you begin sculpting something like that.
Oh, it was a lot of crunch time for sure because we had an 11-hour drive going there. And it took a total of like 80 hours to make. I would have liked to had an extra 20 hours added on to it, but just because we were in such a time crunch getting there, and wanting everything to be perfect, I literally got like 3 hours of sleep per night for like a week working on this cake. But yeah, it was a lot of very in crunch time. Not a long time to work on it.
Are you a nervous wreck when you're driving up to Oklahoma and you've got this masterpiece? How do you strap this thing down?
Oh my gosh. Well, there's no strap down at all. So there's an internal structure in the cake, of course.
Right.
My husband is the designated driver there, and he calls me the backseat driver whenever I'm not driving one of my cakes. Of course, he knows all the nicks and crannies of what to do, what not to do, taking slow turns, but mostly likely just not being around like crazy drivers yourself, so trying to steer clear of people that could be potentially dangerous on the road.
Are you chirping whenever he hits a bump too hard?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He wouldn't call it chirping though.
No, he's got a different term.
He's like, go to sleep already.
So that lab that you had last week, we left.
So
early.
explain the sculpture real quick for the people that weren't there. It was a lab. There were some Boss shot shells down there. Go ahead and explain everything for the people that didn't see it.
Yeah, so actually it was a lab of our friend Aaron with Canadi Life. He had lost his lab last year. So her name was Shadow, and she was his hunting companion. So we actually surprised him with that cake of his dog and had a mossy oak bottomland camo collar on with her name tag on the back with some Boss shot shells, elite duck calls, Carr Miller duck call, on a little lanyard, with, of course, a Drake mallard.
I sent you the picture of it, Andy.
Yeah, I remember seeing it. Yeah, it was a really gorgeous piece. What was your question going to be, Jeff? I'm sorry to cut you off. I just wanted her to set that up a little bit.
Me and Andy left around. What did we leave, around noon?
Yeah.
We left around noon or 1. I noticed after we left, y'all cut the cake. That's always fat boys' problems. I'm always miss out on the good stuff. And y'all actually cut that cake. But that cake, what impressed me when you were telling me about it is you don't do fondant.
No, I do not. So typically the cakes are made with whatever cake flavor of choice, smothered in a buttercream frosting, and the outside layer is actually a scratch-made chocolate. And then on Sunday, we did. We cut into the cake and we served it to, the guests and stuff walking by up Delta.
Damn it.
No, we missed out. I'm telling you, if I didn't know, I probably would have stayed the extra 3 hours to eat.
And I saw you gave the shotgun shells to Boss. That was really cool, the way that they opened a box of their shells, and I was not expecting them to eat it.
I know, it was so funny. He was like, well, I was expecting it to be cake, but it was actually chocolate that he ate.
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Who's going to complain about a hunk full of chocolate?
I know, right?
So you never use fondant on anything?
I have never used fondant, period. I've never made fondant. I've never used it. I tried it one time, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is awful.
Yeah, it tastes like
I
shit.
had somebody else's fondant cake. It was definitely not something that I knew as a business owner I wanted to ever incorporate into my business, because to me it does not taste good. Chocolate is definitely the way to go.
No, fondant tastes terrible. Anytime there's a cake, and they always put too much of it on there too, is what I've always noticed. And it's like the ratio is all messed up. It tastes horrible. I end up picking most of it off and just chunking it in the trash just to get to that.
Right.
Whatever it is. What do they normally layer it with underneath? Is it like a sweet buttercream underneath the fondant most of the time?
Honestly, I wouldn't know, just because I'm not a fondant baker, but I would assume so. I would either think like a ganache or buttercream is what I would assume it would be under it.
Okay, you've got another one that was one of my favorites. Like I said, I've been following you for a long time. I found you a couple of years ago, and just very talented.
Thank you.
The one you did of Trip, that dog. It's a lab with a wood duck in the mouth. There's a speck. Now it looks like a Ross.
Yes.
Mallard. That is an amazing one also. Is that someone else's dog that had passed away, or they just have that done?
Yes. It was a customer out of Georgia, and she had this was a cake for her husband's birthday that she was surprising him with. But she actually had people come all the way down from South Georgia, come all the way to Corpus Christi, Texas to pick up the cake, and then turn around and go straight back there. And that's a lot of driving to pick up a cake, but it was definitely, to me, in my eyes, one of my favorite Labrador cakes that I've done, just because of the amount of artistry that was with the cake. It's
just amazing, the definition in the legs, the eyes, and the nose looks wet like a dog. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. It is absolutely incredible. If I was getting married, I'm not doing that ever again. On the same, I'm still married, but I wouldn't get married a second time ever. But if I did, and I had a groom's cake, this would be the most awesome groom's cake anyone could ever have.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Future Miss Jeff Stanfield, he's dropping you hints.
If there's another Miss Stanfield out there, she probably doesn't listen to our podcast. She's probably right now on Wall Street Journal doing her money stuff because she's going to be rich.
Oh, okay.
I'm marrying for money the second time.
There's nothing wrong with that. So how many hours was the dog that the cake that Jeff is referring to? How many hours did you spend on that one?
Oh, it was a long while. I would say like a week, probably over a week from starting the internal structure. So whenever I say over a week, it's like the actual cake portion of the cakes don't get put on until like the day before the customer picks up. And the reason being is it's got to stay fresh.
That was going to be my question.
It's time to eat it.
Yeah.
So whenever I say I start them so far ahead of time, is like I'm starting the things that have internal structures. Like typically the face takes me a day to 2 days to work on, just because I'm such a perfectionist. I want them to look as close as possible to the animal or fish that I'm replicating. Fish are a lot easier to do as far as facial features, of course, but animals, I have to look at so many different pictures and references of whatever I'm creating, and making sure the eyes are tilted correctly, that they're far enough apart or not, close enough, whatever. And the nose, tilting of the nose and how far it sticks out. And there's a lot of things to it, but it's just crazy because to me, it's like I'm self-taught. I've never taken a sculpted class before or anything like that. So it's just kind of trial and error, because I only do what I feel needs to be done at the moment, without any kind of template or molds or anything like that. It's all literally done by hand.
So take me to the first one of these that you did. Like how did you even get started into thinking that this might be something that you want to try?
Well, I have a friend. She was wanting some kind of a huge cake for their wedding. And she ended up doing a white-tailed deer, but it was a full body white-tailed deer. And at that time in my business, I didn't work with chocolate. I only did buttercream cakes. So this cake in my eyes, I have came a long way since 2000. I think it was like 2019 or 2020. I started my business in 2014, but I just started offering sculpting cakes only at that point in time. But this cake, you got to start somewhere. So back then it was crazy because this cake went viral like everywhere. And now that I look at it, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's not what it would look like now, but it was crazy the amount of attention that cake got. And it was done in, like I said, in buttercream. I was so thankful that she did that cake because it opened up so many doors and completely changed and turned my business around into me being able to do art and incorporate that into my work instead of just doing your basic like character themed birthday cakes and cookies and stuff like that, because that's what I did used to offer, but now it's just strictly sculpted cakes.
So you had never done anything like that before, and then your friend comes to you and she's like, "Hey, I got this idea. What do you think about it?"
You are correct. Yeah,
and
I had never done it.
How many times were you like, "I think I bit off more than I can chew here"?
Oh, quite a bit, honestly. Trying to figure out an internal structure just because I'm self-taught and I've never taken any kind of like cake class or anything like that. And especially with sculpted cakes, there's a lot of like building to the internal structure that you wouldn't think goes into a cake. But in order to have it stand upright and the antlers be a certain, height and dimension, my husband is a welder. Well, he does weld it. He doesn't do that for a job. He's a hunting and fishing guide, but he knows how to weld. And I came from a family of welders. My dad is also a welder as well. So I was like, Dad, I need your help. Like I am struggling. This cake is due in a couple months and I just need to figure out how I'm going to do the internal structure. And so we did the first internal structure and it looked nothing of like what it looked like now, but back then it was a lot of metal and things, and then you cover it in a cake safe foil that you then adhere your sculpted and cake parts to it, which all internal structures in sculpted cakes are very put together. But now like my internal structure for a deer or something would be just one threaded rod, and then you have your threaded rods and stuff on top, but it's all done into the board to where it stays and it's secure and safe. But yes, that cake was so heavy as well. It was probably pushing close to 300 pounds.
Holy cow.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. And we had a few of our friends in town, Chris and Cody, they helped me deliver this cake to the wedding venue where I then cut and served the cake. This cake went like crazy viral, and I can't believe it, honestly, just because of what it looked like compared to like what my work looks like now. All these people around the world, like different countries, were sharing it. And then that's whenever Jim Shockey had found me and he shared it. And that's whenever he named me the Cake Taxidermist.
Yeah, my kids on YouTube, they watch Caker Reel or something like that.
Yeah, Is It Cake?
Is It Cake is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
awesome.
They're always watching that. And I tell you what, there's sometimes it tricks you.
It does trick you. It's one of our favorite shows to watch as a family with my kids and stuff. We'll have like competitions to figure out who, which one's cake and which one's not cake. Like as if we're the judges, and it's a blast. Like the kids love it.
So what do you do? So you airbrush everything? Like how do you get the colors to be what you want it to be?
I used to airbrush a lot, but honestly, the type of airbrush product that they have on the market right now does not adhere to chocolate. So I had to figure out a whole nother way for coloring my cakes. And it's actually food coloring, but it's in a powder form. So in order to make my colors, because I mix colors a lot to create my own color palettes and stuff, you use, a form of medium to water it down and to get it to a liquid state. If they could make cake, like I guess colors and stuff like they do, like acrylic paints, man, I could really, my cakes would look like a whole different version. But with the type of products that I have in the industry of the baking world, I wish that it could just go a little bit better up, but I work with what I got. So the cake colors that I use are powder.
There's your market right there. Just get your get your dad and your inventor husband to figure this out. And
I need to figure out how to make an acrylic paint that's edible and safe to eat.
Right. Just figure this out, and you don't have to make cakes anymore. Or you can make you can make cakes that are even better.
Right.
How many? So this deer, how many does that feed? How many servings can you get out of that big old deer?
Yeah, so whitetail or axis deer, axis typically serve a little bit more than my whitetails, but I would say close to 200 people.
Golly.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, you start baking this cake. We'll go to the lab that you had this weekend with you. How long? How many days did you bake the cake? How many days do you bake the cake till the product's done?
So, usually I will, because of the amount of orders that I take on a week, I can only take on so many because it's typically just me that works for my business. My mom will come in and help me on baking day to help bake the cakes. But typically it's a full day of baking. And what I do is I bake the cakes, and this is the same week that the cake is due. So the day before I start on the cakes, I'll bake them and freeze them overnight. And the reason why I do that is because it creates a bunch of moisture into the cake layers. So whenever I start applying and building the cake, and layering it all on top of each other, whenever it's sealed with that modeling chocolate, it acts as a barrier and keeps the cake super moist and, of course, fresh.
Right. So freezing it, you figured out freezing it will keep it moist. It'll trap in moisture inside of it.
Yeah, it'll keep it moist and fresh, and it also helps whenever it's time to start carving the cake, where your cake is not falling off. It does still fall and get some divots and stuff in it where you don't typically want it to, but it's easier to carve with the cake a little bit frozen.
Have you had to totally scrap a cake and just bake another one because you messed up? No, never.
No, I've always tried to figure out a way to save it. I don't like to waste.
Right.
So I've always tried to figure out ways to accommodate some portions of the cake. Like if there's areas that are hard to build up on or something. Another thing that I will do is a cake pop texture. So it's actually the cake scraps that I cut off the cake, and then I'll put them in my mixer and mix it in with a little bit of frosting, and that way it's easier to mold and build and stuff with certain parts of the muscle on deer and things like that, where it's hard to create that form with cutting with a knife.
Right. I didn't know if you ever had a boo-boo so big that you were like, well, gotta go make another cake.
Well, yeah, I've had a boo-boo happen before, but it wasn't from me. It was from my 2-year-old daughter that came into my shop while I was in the kitchen working, and she ate the whole butt end of an antelope. Yeah.
I bet Mama was proud. Now,
oh my goodness, I was Peyton. I have 3 kids, by the way, and the 2 older ones, I have a 12, 8, and a 3. And now she's 3, but she was 2 at the time. She was just old enough and walking good enough to where she could get on my cake table, and I mean, I was impressed. I mean, she loves cake, like loves it. Well, I then had to I have like open shop doors. I have 3 doors to my shop. They all have these internal locks that lock from the inside now and lock from the outside to where kids cannot come in.
Had the kid proof
But
it.
anyway, so she ate the whole butt end of this antelope cake. So I had to cut, half that portion off and start completely over with building up and everything on this cake, which, of course, it was hilarious, but I was like, man, I was about to start painting. Like, I was already done, like, putting it together and literally in the kitchen mixing up stuff to start painting. So, yeah.
What 2-year-old wouldn't though? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Mom's making these delicious cakes. I got to shoot my shot.
As a fat boy and lover of sweets, I watched.
Oh yeah.
I used to watch a lot of the baking stuff, and the Food Network. I used to watch all the time, and I love the cooking competitions, and I love and I love the dessert ones, and I always watch Halloween Wars and Christmas Wars, and I love all of that stuff. They do a lot of Rice Krispie treats on a lot of those shows. Do you do Rice Krispie treats ever?
I do, actually, on almost every single one of my sculpted cakes. So, whenever I say I start the cake a certain ahead of time, usually my head of my animals that I do are typically all Rice Krispie on the head itself. And the reason being is I need a lot longer time to work on it. So I will focus, whenever I start a cake, I start on the head first of all the facial features, where the eyes are, the nose are, mouth. The attention to detail that you have to put into a face to make sure it looks the way it's supposed to look. Rice Krispie, you're able to do that just because it stays fresh for, a week at a time, more than a week, So that's whenever I say I start my cake at a certain, portion, it's the Rice Krispie treat that I'm starting first of the head of the animal.
And I guess the head is the hardest part with all the detail that you got to worry about, the eyes, the nose, everything.
It honestly is. I almost never finish a head of a head and be like, oh, I'm so happy with this head. I can't wait to start on the next part tomorrow. So usually whenever I sleep, for a couple of hours the night after I finish a head, the next morning I always end up going and doing something different to fix something I didn't see the day before. So there's a lot of time that goes into the head and the face. I would say that's probably the most difficult part of the cake is the facial features.
That's got to be maddening. Like, especially like if you're a perfectionist, you know what I mean? Looking at it, because you look at it for so long and then you step away from it and then you come back to it and you're like, oh, how the hell did I not see this yesterday?
Right. And it is that way, every bit of that way. Luckily, whenever I first started, I had a few pictures saved on my iPad that I'll like look at to go back. Well, I was taught actual taxidermy from my great aunt Jo. She's lives in Lampasas, and so as a hobby, I do taxidermy for our own animals and stuff like that, just because my husband's a hunting and fishing guide. So whenever I go and spend the summer with her, sometimes I'm learning new techniques for actual taxidermy. And her biggest thing that she has taught me is reference. You got to have your reference photos. So now, whenever I do a cake, I literally will find as many reference photos of side profiles, front profiles, like as if like it's an aerial view coming down. I will try to have every kind of profile on that particular animal or fish that I'm doing just to make sure I get the dimensions right.
Yeah. How far out, like, are you booked? Like if somebody's listening to this today and they're like, I got a wedding coming up in October, is that doable with your schedule or probably not?
So really it just depends on the date itself. I mean, I have sporadic dates open and available, but since I'm mostly in like the big events and wedding industry. I mean, of course, in like big birthday parties because I mean, these cakes are extravagant. Some of them are so huge that some of my customers have booked me already for 2027.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean that I have
Right.
every spot filled until that date. It's just sporadic dates available.
Like you've got a pintail drake. Beautiful, beautiful cake. What's a cake like that run? Because that's no question people are going to ask all the time.
Sure, of course. So, what I always say about my duck cakes is I'm known for being a hyperrealistic baker. So everything is, I try to get as life-sized as possible. The only thing about the duck cakes is you can't serve a lot of people with a duck cake. So the first question I would ask when they're wanting to do a cake, how many people are you trying to serve? And are you wanting this for just mainly the art, or are you wanting to actually serve people with this cake? Because a pintail duck is only going to serve like 6 people max, just because it's literally hyperrealistic in the size of the actual bird. So if they were doing just a duck like standing up with no edible scene around it and it's literally only serving 6 people, they start off at 1200. And this is just for the duck itself. Ducks take so long to make. There are so many fine details on these cakes and they're so tiny, but if you miss any of those details, it just doesn't look right. And actually ducks are very challenging to do as well, but they're one of my favorites to do just because there's so much detail in such a little bitty thing. They're one of my favorites. Their feet and everything. I love it. And all the colors, all the different colors. Wood ducks are my favorite. But yeah, so 1200 for a duck. And if you want to create a scene, I could do like a log, like timber or cattails or any kind of like grass vegetation on it. And I also can do, like if you've ever seen like a mount where they have like the creating like a water scene, I use isomalt and I melt it. It's a form of kind of like technically like a rock candy, but it's like a sugar that I can melt and form to make it look like a water scene with it as well. So whenever you add scene to it, depending on the scene and how many people you're trying to serve with that, some of them can go up to, like 2,700 is what I've had. I think one of my highest duck cakes for a single duck with the scene. But yeah, it just depends on what all you're wanting with it, how custom you want to get with it.
What's the best bang for the buck? A fish then?
Yes, sir. Yeah, definitely a fish. So I offer a few different versions for my fish cakes. One would be like a sculpted version where it's just half-sided the fish laying on a board. Those are, you can serve a lot of people and they're easier on your budget. But I do also offer the 3D upright fish that show all angles of the fish, bottom, top, side, creating a scene. Some of those cakes serve roughly 175 people, 200 people as well, depending on the fish species and what all you want onto it.
That marlin that you've got, or sailfish, I don't know the difference. I'm not a fish
I've
guy.
done both.
That one is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. It's one of my favorite fish cakes for sure.
What's that fish? What'd that cake serve? How many people?
The blue marlin, I think, served roughly about probably 175, and then the sailfish actually served more just because we did a bigger scene on the bottom. So that one probably was like pushing over 200. And actually, they had let me know after for the sailfish, because I did the marlin either last year or the year before, but the sailfish I did just this past year. And they were like, there was so much cake, like that we even had leftover cake and we served all the people in the wedding and still had leftover. So I would say over 200 the sailfish did.
And what's the cost on that cake for an event?
So for a sailfish, and both sides of the fish, I'll have to get my paper out to see. I don't know that one on hand just because I don't do it that often. But it would start off for a certain length. So I offer also different lengths on the fish. They can start out at 4 foot or 6 foot. 6 foot is typically like the biggest size that I'll go. I think that Selfish was a 6 foot. It's hard. I would have to get my book out to see exactly the price on that. I would hate to quote you something and then it
that's okay.
different.
I'm just, someone's going to be listening to this. It's got an event and they're just curious.
Oh yeah,
I'm just,
definitely. I can get my.
No, that's okay. I just was going to.
Okay.
Because someone's going to text you to ask that. We have such a wide array of listeners from all over the country that someone listening to it right now is having an event, a 50th wedding anniversary, or they've been in business 20 years or 10 years. They want to do a cool, because that's a really cool, what you do is unlike anybody else has. And it's something people are going to talk about forever. And everybody talked about that cake at your booth in Delta. It was everybody walking by stopped. I had so many different people come up that's friends of mine that knew you and said, hey, you've got to come see this stuff. And it is amazing.
Well, I will tell you this, my voice is still recovering from how tired it is. It still does not sound the same just because of the amount of times I had to communicate with people. It was like there was always somebody there and asking questions, which I loved getting to meet people that have been following me since I started my business and things like that. But just for instance, for a question on that particular style of cake, because I got that question asked a lot for the lab with the duck, that cake starts off at 4,500 typically. 4,200 and 4,500 with all the customizations with the duck calls and the shotgun shells and stuff like that.
Do you get bored if you got to do like a regular wedding cake, or do you kind of love it because you can it's like, this is going to be an easy one?
Oh, that's a good question. My only thing is typically whenever I book a wedding cake, I always have a groom's cake that books with it. I don't book as many wedding cakes as I do groom's cakes. I think that most people don't realize that I do offer wedding cakes as well. They always just want to make sure that their groom's cake is booked. But sometimes, I guess it just depends on sometimes it's nice for a change of scenery, but I always, of course, enjoy doing the groom's cake more just because there's more artistry that gets involved with it.
Now, do you bake for your family? And are your kids like, what the hell, Mom? This is just a sheet cake is all this is.
I wish my husband was here for this conversation right now. He's offshore fishing and he would love to tell you yes. He gets only the cake scraps, and typically I'm so tired and overwhelmed whenever it's birthday time for my own family that I will go and buy a cake.
Buying it from Walmart.
I will go and buy one. Typically, actually, our favorite, like if I'm not baking a cake, my kids, unfortunately, the kind of cakes they want, I will bake them cakes and cookies still. But my husband, he likes this carrot cake, and it's from the Cheesecake Factory, and it's called their Colossal Carrot Cake. If you have not tried this cake, you have to try it. It is so good.
It is very good.
So he definitely does not complain, but he gets asked that question a lot, like, oh, you're so lucky. Your wife probably bakes for you all the time. He's like,
no,
she don't.
Trust me, I know the answer to that, because it's just like anything that, any passion that you turn into a job, you're not doing that at home.
Right. I mean, if I'm doing it at home, it's typically like desserts that I wouldn't be making. Like my favorite's buttermilk pie. I love buttermilk pie. I love tiramisu. So those are kind of the cakes and desserts that I make whenever it's like for our family. It's things that I don't get to do with my business. It's different.
I can smash a buttermilk pie.
Oh, it's so funny because people ask me, well, what's your favorite cake? I'm like, I love chocolate cake, but my favorite dessert is buttermilk pie. And they're like, I've never even heard of buttermilk pie. I'm like, what? I love buttermilk pie.
A lady in town makes a buttermilk pie, and for my wife and I hers is September 20, her birthday is September 24th. Mine's the 26th, but we both love her buttermilk pie. So she brings it over a couple days before our birthdays, and
You know, you've never shared that with us.
We're not going to.
That's kind of terrible, man.
We're not going to. Even the boys don't really get to indulge in this buttermilk pie because it only comes around once a year. And
Is Leona making?
My question: have you ever had a whiskey buttermilk pie before?
never, but it sounds
So
good.
It's so good. So, TX Whiskey, whenever they, they did like this like holiday baking something where they were like featuring different bakers and chefs and stuff across the world, and we're getting like recipe and holidays. One time I did a TX Whiskey buttermilk pie, and it was like a holiday theme for the holidays, and it was in a magazine and stuff. And then I did these TX Whiskey, they were peanut butter cupcakes.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness, they were so good. But the TX Whiskey buttermilk pie is definitely like, you have to try it. Like, it's so good.
I'm going to have to search the Google machine and find a recipe for the TX Whiskey buttermilk pie.
Get with me after the show and I'll send you a recipe.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Definitely.
I've never heard of that whiskey and a buttermilk. You know, there's a place in Duluth or north of Duluth, Gooseberry Falls, Minnesota, called Betty's Pie Shop, and they have a sour cream cake, and I believe they've got a mayonnaise or pie.
No.
They got a sour cream pie and a mayonnaise pie.
That's a
They're supposed
bridge
to be-
I'm not willing to cross.
You're eating
Really?
buttermilk. They're
I don't
supposed
know
to be
about
very
that.
good. It's supposed to be excellent.
Mayonnaise?
It's supposed to be very good, and it's a
I
seasonal
don't know
deal.
about this, guys.
I don't
I don't know if I could do the mayonnaise pie. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't like
You can
buttermilk.
always try something once, I feel.
Yeah.
But
I don't like
don't know.
buttermilk, but I like buttermilk pie. I don't like coffee that much. I love coffee ice cream. I mean, there's some things that it may be good.
Mayonnaise? I don't know. That's a tough one for me to wrap my head around.
Do you drink buttermilk?
No.
No. There you go.
I mean, I use buttermilk.
You use mayonnaise.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
know. I don't know. Mayonnaise pie. I think it'd be a hard sell.
Just telling you.
They got a hell of a marketing team selling that.
right.
Might be good.
Cake pops were really popular for a while, and now I don't see them as much anymore.
Yeah, I use like a cake pop type texture on my cakes, but I have to tell you, there was this girl, what was her name? Outdoor Addie, I think, and she was at the Delta show this past weekend, and she does cake pops and stuff like that. She brought me a lemon cake pop. This thing was so good, and she was so sweet. She had a little rubber duck that I had signed there. I hope that I'm saying her name right. I think Outdoor Addie or something. She had made cake pops, and I haven't had one in so long.
Yeah, my wife, she used to make a whole bunch for us, and I don't know what happened to that hobby of hers. I hadn't got a cake pop in years. But they're so good because it's just like this. It's like the perfect bite of cake. It's moist. It's got the right amount of frosting on it and everything. Mm-hmm. I can eat a dozen of those.
Oh yeah, me too. I like petitfours too.
What are
they're
those?
really good. So it's like they're not a cake pop, but they're almost like little layers of cake, and they have like a tiny layer of buttercream in between them, and they're dipped in a chocolate. And whenever they're dipped, they're dried, and then you have a dollop of buttercream on the top, and they're like bite sized. I can eat a lot of those. They're delicious.
I try to stay away from sweets, but it's going to be tough today. You know, you brought up Cheesecake Factory, redneck that we are. My youngest son just had a birthday a week ago, and we took him to Wichita Falls. We had a couple friends. We went to the trampoline park and everything, and we asked him, what do you want to eat for dinner tonight? Like, well, wherever you want to go. I want to go Long John Silver. Okay, you've never asked for that. You never asked that one before, but Long John Silver it is. And they recently redid the Long John Silver in Wichita Falls, and the place is packed now. Like, you went there, if you went to this place before it was redone, you were the only person in line, and you kind of got a little bit nervous.
Right.
Now this place is packed. I guess you take 40 years worth of grease off the wall, and people start coming back. But they serve Cheesecake Factory cake in Long John Silver, and I did not know this.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you know what's crazy is that how I learned about the Cheesecake Factory carrot cake is I'm a big fan of McAllister's.
Yeah.
Their soups, sandwiches, and salads. They serve a carrot cake there, and I think I was pregnant with my daughter, Peyton, that's 3, and they had ran out of this cake, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm craving it. Like, when are you going to get it back? Because I need a piece of carrot cake. And they're like, they knew me by my name because I go in there a lot. So they're like, Dusty, come here. And they're like, it's actually from the Cheesecake Factory. I'm like,
Oh,
stop. So now I could buy like literally the entire cake itself instead of just a slice. But that's how McAllister's is too, is they buy from the Cheesecake Factory.
I did not know this either. I'll have to start eating I usually feel good about myself when I eat at McAllister's because it's it's just a sandwich and it's semi-healthy.
Yeah.
But now I'm gonna screw that all up by getting the cake at the end.
So you're telling
good.
you're telling me that it was actual Cheesecake Factory cake at Long John Silver's?
Yes.
What all they have?
There's like 3 kinds. They had like the chocolate, maybe the Oreo, and something else. But
Mary's famous, or what is it? Linda's famous fudge. That's a good cake.
I can't remember.
Linda's famous fudge and cheesecake and the carrot cake are my 2 favorites there.
Oh yeah.
But it said Cheesecake Factory. Da 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 da. You get to pick like 3, or they had 3 options.
That's crazy at Long John Silver's. People up north make fun of us for eating at Long John Silver's.
I will say this: with us living on an island, I hardly won't eat fish unless it's at home because I get it literally every day because my husband's a fishing guide. So he's literally offshore fishing. And yesterday he went offshore fishing and we have fresh snapper and tilefish and swordfish and all sorts of stuff that we get almost on a daily basis. So it's hard to eat out whenever you have that kind of fish, local.
Yeah, we don't have that here. Long John Silver's is about as good as it gets for us up here in West Texas. It's all desert. I love snapper though.
Me too. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. How do y'all cook it?
So there's a few different ways that we cook it. Fried, of course, is really good. Grilled, baked. You can cook that fish a lot of ways and it tastes amazing.
How do you do the swordfish?
I really like snapper tacos, like where I make the homemade flour tortillas and, like a grilled snapper with all different kind of fixings on top. That's my favorite. And
it's kind of like fuzzy taco, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We had somebody, they dropped off a bunch of swordfish out here and we grilled it. It was like swordfish steaks and just threw it on the grill.
Yes. It's the best. It has like the best texture and the denseness of the fish without it being like a super fishy taste. My husband actually, whenever we get swordfish, he's the one who cooks it. But the steaks is the way to go for it for sure.
So is he fish? How often does he fish? He fishes every day?
That's his full-time job. He's a hunting and fishing guide. So in the winter, whenever it's, cooler, you have to go for offshore fishing because he does both offshore and inshore. Offshore fishing, you have to wait for certain weather windows and stuff like that. He went yesterday and he caught Dorado, blue marlin. He jumped a sail.
Wow.
And lots of snapper. So he came home and he had all this fish. And he was like, "You want to go?" I'm like, "No, I'm really tired from the show. I just can't go. There's so much to do here this week." But it's delicious.
Now, is Delta the only show that you're doing, or are you going to be in Memphis?
It's so funny. So last year I went to the show with our friends with Kanadi Life. And people I did not have a booth. People just kept approaching me being like, "Hey, you're that cake lady." And I'm like, "Yes." They're like, "Well, do you have a booth here? Because we've always wanted to see your cakes in person. We live, somewhere like Maine or way far away where we can never have one of your cakes at, an event. Do you happen to have a booth?" I'm like, "No, I don't." But then we got to thinking. I was like, well, maybe next year, maybe I'll set up a booth just to, because the amount of people that came up to me was crazy that knew my cakes. And now I don't ship my cakes personally, but I have customers that have, planes or have friends that have planes and they'll come and fly and pick these cakes up. It's crazy. But yeah, I get asked that all the time. I may do another show. I mean, it was so much fun getting to see and meet everybody and mingle and talk with the cake. My voice, like I said, is still tired from talking. I guess it would just have to be right. Like next year, I know that the Delta convention is in Iowa.
Yeah.
So it'd be really hard for me to make a cake last and it be there, because I would definitely want to fly there compared to driving, of course. So I don't know if Delta will happen for me next year setting a booth, but who knows?
I don't think you'd have to have that cake there. I mean, that definitely caught everyone's attention, but I think with pictures and stuff the way it is, I mean, and I don't know, but
it was cool seeing that cake there.
It was amazing.
Like it really was.
Thank you. It was definitely cool that I got to serve it on the last day, because people did not believe that it was a real cake. I mean, I even had somebody, because I always have signs that say, like, please do not touch this as a cake.
Yeah.
Because the first thing somebody wants to do is just go and poke it to see if it's really a cake or not. So it was really cool on Sunday, is like getting it to be cut in front of all these people that did not believe it was a cake. And it was really funny, because right across the way from me was, like a dog trainer. I think it was like Genesis and Trinity. And one lady was like, I know this sign says, please do not touch the cake, but can I pet your dog? I'm like, I know, right? She's being so good. I got her trained at Trinity right down the way.
How did you ever have any kids that got a little too close for your comfort?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I honestly would just kind of turn my head. I'm used to it, but I felt so bad for everybody that was like around my booth and was like, oh no, control your kids, control your children. I said, please do not touch. The amount of times I heard that from just like random people, because I even put like a little crowd control rope around it, because people will go up and touch it, Like, for instance, I did Kendall Jones's wedding. I don't know if you know who Kendall Jones is. She's famous in the outdoor industry as well. I did her wedding this past year, and we had signs on her table and stuff, and we literally still had people going up. She had a few cakes. She had done, I think, a deer, a coyote, quail, and her wedding cake. And literally we had people going and grabbing the antlers of the deer and shaking them. And we're like, no, she hasn't even had her pictures with her cake yet, or like the cake cutting time or anything like that. So, that is like the number one thing that happens always with one of my cakes. I will always tell a customer, like, please, if you don't want to get a sign from me, make a sign that says, please do not touch this as a cake. Because even with that cake sign there, you at least have a better chance of somebody reading it being like, okay, I'm not going to touch this thing.
People are stupid.
But, yeah.
I mean, why would you go up and touch a cake and anyways move the horns?
Right. Like, he literally straight up grabbed both of the horns and were shaking to see if it would fall or something. I don't know. It was a grown man. I don't know. It was crazy.
Imagine if that thing would have come out in his hands.
Oof.
Oh my goodness.
He'd have felt like a real tool bag.
I felt awful, because not only was me, me and I had my team there that helped cut and serve, because we had a lot of people that were there. So I usually always have my mama with me. And then I will hire a couple extra people to help with cutting and serving the cake, just because my mom knows what the cakes look like from, the bottom up. So sometimes I'll have her go with me to go and help cut and serve. And you just see her just turning her head and shaking. She's like, no, do not touch this. It gives her a little anxiety more than me, just because I'm used to people doing it, but I just feel awful whenever it's like, I'm sorry, your guest touched your cake after I told them not to. And now this is what your first pictures with your cake cutting has to look like. It really stinks. And then the most questions that I get asked too about cake cutting is like, does it make you sad whenever somebody cuts your cake? And I'm like, no, no. Like, that was probably the most asked question at the show, was like, do you get mad when somebody cuts your cake? I'm like, no, I get mad when somebody touches it before it gets cut.
Yeah. And you don't want to be rude, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Absolutely.
You're a grown person. Like, just control your impulses here just a little bit, and like, let's at least get them a picture.
Right. It was so funny, because after the show was done and people had already ate from the cake, there was still the internal structure with like a little bit of chocolate on the deck. and Big J and my husband just go up and they're just like this, touching it. I'm like, and Big J was like, I've been wanting to do that all weekend long. I'm like, I know. So we got a picture of them both touching the cake after it had been served with the cake sign that says, please do not touch the cake. Of course.
I'll tell you what, it's an amazing product. I watch those shows, and I'm sure, have you been invited yet to be on any of these decorating contest shows?
I have. Is It Cake? They contact me almost every single season. Halloween Wars, Holiday Wars, some kind of cookie thing. I have been asked a lot.
Like Holiday Wars or Christmas Wars, whatever they call it on deal.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do Christmas stuff also, or do you stick to just animals? I mean, you're a great artist, so you can probably do anything.
It's typically just animals and fish that I'll do, and then of course your wedding cakes. Now before I did just sculpted cakes, I offered holiday themed things all the time, but just because of the amount of sculpted cakes that I have to make, I typically try to just stick with one thing instead of offering a lot, But yeah, I used to offer holiday type stuff.
So do you think that you'll ever go on one of these shows?
Maybe. I mean, honestly, there was one time that I almost did, and it was like because everything worked out perfectly, but they don't give you much ahead of time when they want you to go on these shows. But I love that they still contact me, even though I feel horrible because I have to tell them no every time. But it's like I have a full-time job doing this, and typically they're only giving me a couple weeks ahead of time notice,
right.
And it's like they're filming for 4 weeks out of the time that you're there, and it's typically out of state. And it's like I have 3 kids at home, and my baking career, like this is a full-time job. Like, and it's just me. I don't have anybody else that could take over my spot while I go and do a show. It would be really cool, but I'd probably wait until my kids got a little bit bigger and to be able to do that, because the most important thing is raising them, of course.
Yeah, 100%. So you said it's a 4-week process. These shows are.
Yeah, most of the time it is. It's 4 weeks at a time, and they're typically out of state. Yeah. So I don't know very many of the details on it. Just of what they have told me, because I have this one girl that she does the casting and stuff for the shows, and every time she'll call me. If I don't answer a call, she'll send me an email. She'll text me, be like, Dusty, I think this is the time you need to come. I'm like, I know, I just can't do it. Like, I can't just be like, these people that booked me for their wedding a year to 2 years ago, I can't tell them no because I'm going to go on a show. Like, I could never do that.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's surprising to me. I figured like Halloween Wars, I figured that'd be like a year in advance, not a couple of weeks. Like, hey, we need you here.
Nope. They only give you a couple weeks, maybe a month tops.
Yeah, but still, that's
notice,
tough.
But I have never gotten more than over a month notice. But typically, I mean, it's hard just because I'm the only one who works for my business as like a full-time job.
Yeah.
I book months to years in advance a lot, not all my cakes. Like every once in a while I have a spur of the moment date open that's like, oh, I need you, but it's like a month out. Like, do you happen to have this date open? I'm like, oh, I don't know. But sometimes it does work out to where I have that sporadic date open. I almost did it, not this past year, but last September. I think it was filming for Is It Cake? But it was one of my best friend's wedding, and I was standing up in her wedding, and I'm like, girl, you're so lucky I love you, because I don't have a cake in this part, and I would love to go do that. But honestly, it was just so important being there for her,
A lot of those people are struggling too. You're not. You have a good, solid business. I think a lot of those people, I mean, if you're just a bakery and you're in Chicago in the suburbs, there's 15 other bakeries right around you.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, what you do is very unique. I don't know anyone else that's doing what you're doing, and there's a demand for you.
There's a lot of talented bakers out there.
No.
I mean, just because.
No, that I know, but I mean, what you're doing, you're busy. You have a great following. You get repeat customers. Everybody wants what you're doing. So there's nothing for you to gain other than notoriety by being on TV doing that, because you're already as busy as you can be. A lot of those people that's their hobbies. They, you know, I've noticed a lot of those people. There's not a lot of professional cake sculptors out there, I don't think.
Yeah. I mean, I know a few of them, but they're technically in like different countries. Like people that I think their work is just so pretty. But it's a different kind of art. It's not necessarily animals and fish. It's more of like human sculpting. And I'm like, wow. That is also one thing I don't know if I could ever do, is just because like people, their face is so different than animals. I don't know if I could ever do it. I don't know. I get asked all the time, like, can you do a Trump head for me? I'm like, I don't know about that, guys. I don't know, because I feel like the facial features are just completely so different. But it's really remarkable seeing some of these other cake artists or sculptors and how talented they are with making something look completely real. Like you can't tell the difference. There's this one cake artist, and I know she's not from a different country, but her name is Natalie Sidesurf. Her work is really pretty. She does a bunch of like human sculpting, and she does mostly like, she'll like tease you, like kind of like is it cake kind of thing, but like do random things such as food items like burgers, things and like that have you literally cannot tell the difference. Like she is very talented.
People would be tough. Because it's so like too. The wax museums, you know, you can always tell something just a little off, not quite right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So
she's really good though. She just did one. I'm trying to think of what his name is, but she did one of a singer not that long ago, and literally you almost could not tell the difference. Like it was better than a wax sculpture, but she's really good at doing faces of humans. Really, really good. I don't think I could ever do that. Just I feel like my calling's more in like God's animals and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you. So how many different projects can you work on at one time? Like, are you singularly focused, or do you have like 2 or 3 going at the same time?
Ooh, so I could tell you the most I've ever taken on at a time, and it was for a wedding in Austin, and she wanted to book a whole taxidermy wall of all different kind of animals and fish species. And her vision firstly was to have this wall built and have my cake scattered on this wall as if it was like a real taxidermy wall. Well, because I had booked another wedding before hers, I wasn't able to take on the amount of cakes that she wanted. I'm actually looking at the picture right now, so I have it fresh in my memory of what all I did for her cake. I did a full body turkey, a bobcat with the quail scene, a deer, and then I did a javelina with a rattlesnake and a white-tailed dove sitting on a cactus, prickly pear cactus. That was the amount, the biggest amount that I've ever done at one single time. That was probably starting on the cakes, not including like building their internal structures, which takes forever to build them, especially if it's like the first one I've ever done, because I have no templates that I'm looking off of. I'm literally drawing these life-size animals, the front view, side view, the top view, just so I can make sure I get these dimensions correctly. The amount of time that did to take all those cakes, I remember my immune system was shot after that, because I could only get, whenever I do these cakes, I only get like 2 or 3 hours of sleep a night.
Yeah.
And then I get up and have a cup of coffee and start again. And so I remember my immune system after I even catered that wedding, after I got so sick. Like it was like finally once my body was able to relax and not have to get up to worry about cake, I was so sick because my immune system was just shot from not getting sleep for so many days in a row. I think it was like going on like 2.5 weeks.
Golly. That's the way I am after hunting season. It just, as soon as I can relax, I'm sick. First part of February, the first week of February, pencil me in for being sick.
Right. Exactly. And also with that, like being my biggest thing, like if I'm not working on a cake, you're either going to catch me on the water with my husband or we're going to be off hunting somewhere. So it's like trying to have a happy medium of, do I really want to take a cake, order the opening weekend, you know, of the Arkansas opener, you know, like, do I really want to take a cake for that or no? I'm going to say no.
No, I don't blame you. Work-life balance is important, and you got a young family that you need to enjoy. So don't waste the best years of being a mom, you know?
Right. Definitely.
So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, we're going to start wrapping up here because Jeff's got to drive to Memphis today. How can people get a hold of you? Instagram the easiest way, or do you want them to go to a website? What do you want?
Yeah, I mean, I typically don't respond to, because of the amount of DMs I get on social media platforms.
See there, Jeff? That's why she didn't get back to you. There you go. Got her on the wrong venue.
Well, I don't just because the amount that I get, like, and it's crazy. Usually it's like, you know, of course you have the uncalled for DMs that they're trying to comment on something other than your business or your cake. And so you just kind of, and you just have those every once in a while. Most of the time it's like people just saying, hey, what you're doing is amazing. You know, you've got a God-given talent, like so much kindness and stuff. But typically responding about like cake things, I will get off of my website, which is sugarbellesweets.com.
There you go.
But of course, Instagram and Facebook, I'm probably on Instagram more than I am Facebook. I have a bigger following on Facebook just because I've had it a lot longer, but my Instagram is kind of not fresh, but it is fresh just because I actually had to split my business and my personal account into something different because I had PETA coming after me.
What?
Because I had pictures of me and my family. My kids are very young, but they also are avid fishermen and hunters with, you know, animals and things like that. I had to draw the line and be like, okay, for the safety of my family, I'm going to have my personal account be in my personal account and my business be in my business of just having cakes. They also came after me for my cakes thinking that they were real animals or fish that were being harvested.
Jesus.
But yeah,
Dumbasses.
It's crazy world out there.
They're dumb.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Luckily, that's a tricky line to draw, right? Because you got your family and you got your business, and it's like, okay, we're just gonna make it easy and just separate the two.
Right, definitely.
Well, you do amazing work, and I am so glad that I got to see one of your cakes in person, and I'm also so glad that we got you on the podcast, and I hope that you
Thank y'all so much for inviting me on.
I hope that you continue to prosper, and hopefully your book stays solid. But yeah, just amazing work, and it was a lot of fun seeing that thing in person. It's amazing.
Much.
And take care of that voice.
I know it's a little scraggly still.
Go recover.
Dusty, I appreciate you. God bless you. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful fall, and the best of luck to you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank y'all so much. Y'all have a good day.
Yep. Y'all look them up at Sugarbelle Sweets. There you go. Check them out on Instagram or Facebook. All right. Very interesting lady. She's a very talented. Good gosh, she's talented.
Yeah. Yeah, like you can see the pictures on Instagram and all that other good stuff. Sugarbelle Sweets on Instagram. The way that this thing looked in person, I mean, it was just incredible. And like I said, that's the very first thing that we saw whenever we hooked a left in the Delta, and it was right there. So check them out, Sugarbelle Sweets on Instagram. You can see everything that she's got going on. Amazing work. Amazing work. All right. We'll be in Memphis Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Come out and see us. We'll be doing a couple podcasts there.
Giving away.
We also have a booth. We're doing the giveaway, the first family of waterfowl. First 4 episodes released on Tuesday. Tuesday evening. They're on our YouTube channel, The Big Honker Podcast. You can go check it out. I've got playlists for everything, so it's super easy to navigate. You just go to our main page on YouTube, and all the seasons that we have done, they're all lined out in playlists, so it's super easy to find. You're not having to scroll through thousands of videos to find these hunting episodes. So we're super excited about the release of season 4. The first 4 episodes are out. We will release the second installment of 4 episodes here in a couple weeks, probably mid-August. Yeah, Eric did an amazing job. We got a lot of compliments last night about
Done a great job.
the film work and the storylines and everything just kind of worked out. Everything just kind of worked out right. So looking forward to seeing what he's got up his sleeve for season 2, or for the second season of him filming it. But the first. So for those of you that don't know, my cousin Eric, that has been on the podcast quite often, he runs Pork Choppers. He is our filmer, producer, editor. He's the one-stop shop, and he did an amazing job.
Yeah, he did an excellent job. Hats off to Eric.
He did a great job. He did an amazing job. So go check those out. And then, like I said, here in a couple weeks, we will release the last 4 episodes. If you're in the Memphis area, if you're going to be at Ducks, come by, say hi to us. All of our sponsors will be there, so you can get set up for this coming waterfowl season, whatever you need. All our people are going to be there. So we hope that you're there. Be safe this weekend. If you are coming to Memphis, be safe. And whatever you're doing out there, we love you. Goodbye. Please watch for deer.
God bless.
Go check out all of our sponsors. Check out Pacific Calls and use our promo code BHP25. You can save 25% off at checkout. That's a hell of a savings. Boss Shot Shells, Dive Bomb Industries, Ducks Unlimited, Dirty Duck Coffee, Lucky Duck, Looking Glass Podcast, Shin Gear, Stanfield Outfitters, Mossberg, Mitch Hall Chevrolet, and Mallard Bay.